Hi everyone. Well, this is the BladeAxe. So the BladeAxe is a physical model controller for guitar and also other kind of instruments. So the sound of the string of the guitar on this instrument is computed here on the iPad, so in the software side. The specificity of this controller is that it's a hybrid controller. So the sound of the excitation that you create with your finger on one of these pieces of plastic, or even on the front plate here, is used to drive the physical model in the guitar. So that's very interesting because this allows you to have a lot of expressivity, basically. So if I plug this piece of plastic here at the metal, it sounds like I'm plucking the string at the metal. But if I pluck this piece of plastic on the edge here, near the nuts, basically, sounds like I'm plucking the string near the nuts. And same thing for the bridge at the bottom. There are two virtual strings, or two controller strings. One is to play solo tones, and I can change the pitch of the tone on the keyboard here. I can do slides. I can play several strings at the same time. And I can also do vibrato. Now, this string here is for chords. So you can see here I have a table with different pitches, different notes, and I can change the nature of the chord that I'm playing by pushing these buttons here. So let's say that I want to play a C major chord. I'll just strum it with this piece of plastic here. F, G, and C. The system is smart enough so that depending on the velocity of my pluck, the strum will be faster or slower. It also knows if I'm strumming up or down. You can see that I can also damp the strings using this button here. So the software is running a bunch of audio effects along with the virtual strings. I'm not going to describe everything here, but overall we have a reverb, we have flanger, we have phaser, we have wah pedal, just all the standard guitar effects. I made presets, and I can also save presets on the interface here. And so for example, if I decide to add some heavy distortion, I can just do that. Okay, now if I want to have some wah pedal, for example, I can just call this preset here. If I want to have some phaser, I can call this preset. Well, that one also has echo and distortion. So another very interesting feature of this instrument is that if I don't want to make mistakes, I can actually choose scales very easily. So for example, say that I want to play in the A minor blues scale, I just have to select one pitch. Then I have this little table here where I can choose the scale that I want to play with. So for example, if I say A minor blues, now all the A minor blues keys are highlighted. But I can still play the other keys on the keyboard. So now, if I'm really scared of making a mistake, I can also lock the keyboard so that only the red keys are accessible. Now, the last feature that I want to show you is this little dots here that are here just to control physical parameters of the physical model. So for that, I'm just going to add just a simple distortion to the string, okay? I can do very interesting things. This thing is a physical model, so I can really play with physical parameters of the model. Let's say that I want to detune the string, for example. I can just move this dot here. You get very, very interesting sounds with that. I'm going to deactivate the distortion. There we go. Another very interesting thing that I can do, for example, is modulate the length of the string in real time with a sine wave. And just to do basically frequency modulation on the string. And this allows me to add artificial vibrato, but it also allows me to do very, very cool stuff. Gives me a lot of expressivity, and of course this thing works both for solo pitches but also for chords. Which brings me to the last feature of the BladeAxe, which is the front plate that can also be used to play. So if I just push this button here, now the front plate replaced the solo string, so I can play. Different textures, and each texture has a different sound. So if I play here, it's going to sound different than if I play here, or then if I play here. I can use my fingers, I can use any kind of material to play, and each material is going to be different in terms of sound. Means basically that the sound texture is also captured by the system. And I can play the chords. Okay, this instrument is very similar to the BladeAxe. Works exactly the same way, except that the pieces of plastic that you use to trigger the notes have been replaced by this big piece of plastic here that are very, very similar to the one on the front face of the BladeAxe. So you can just use this instrument the same way that you use the guitar, basically. And for that, you can just use the same app. You don't have to reconfigure anything. You just plug it to the app, and it works right away. So just to give you a demo, I just set up the whole thing so that this piece of plastic here will control the pitch of the notes, just like on the guitar. So. And that one here is controlling the chords. That you get from it is much, much fatter than the one on the BladeAxe, and that's due to the fact that you get way more low frequencies with these pieces of plastic than with the little piece of plastic on the BladeAxe. So you get a different kind of sound texture. Another thing that you can do with this instrument here, that you can also do with the BladeAxe, but I didn't demonstrate it previously, is that you can use a different kind of physical model. And the physical model that you can use here is a physical model of percussive instruments. So for instance here, I'm just going to do a quick demo with a Tibetan bowl and a metal plate, very dry metal plate. The physical model that is implemented in this app here is very flexible. It can accept any kind of model data. So you can model pretty much any kind of vibrating percussive instrument with it, which is really, really interesting.